So, welcome to Cup's Corner. This time, Cup and Greg's excellent Halloween special, part 2. Should be called, because it's the second time we did something like that. I think last year we also made one on Halloween last year.
Indeed, we did. Happy Halloween!
So it should be called part 2 or not?
Yes, I agree.
Okay. I'm going to change that, but not now. I'm too lazy for that. So. Yeah. 10 people who are waiting are gone. Have you seen that? Oh, by the way, welcome Greg here. Okay. So he's setting something up to record it. I thought you already did that, but okay. I recognized yesterday, I think, there were 30 people waiting for the stream or something like that. And I was wondering what is going on. And a few seconds ago, YouTube said there were 10 people waiting, which is bogus, of course, because YouTube is full of bugs. And but now it shows the real number. And Yeah, and Greg, I just wanted to first off welcome, and I just wanted to ask you if you. Oh my God, we have 217 viewers. 272. No, look at the. Do you have the same crazy numbers?
I can't see it from my.
931. No,
well,
because
going on.
I already told here before. I told the audience, over 1,000 now, that yesterday when I looked it up, there were 31 people supposedly waiting for it, and a few seconds ago there were 10 people waiting for it, and now when we started there were 3 people, and now we are on 2,368. But of course, no more thumbs up or something like that. It's still these 2 thumbs up, and no interaction. Nobody in the chat, of course. No. Greg, can you check that? Do you have these crazy numbers like I have them?
Yeah, that's what I'm seeing too.
2,000, 1,000.
I saw it going over 1,000.
Yeah. Now it goes down again. 1,900.
I don't know.
Oh my, Greg, you have to do something. We are bleeding subs, and we are bleeding viewers. What have you said?
Start the show.
No, Greg, what have you said? We are losing hundreds of viewers.
You can't talk about it. You'll jinx it. So anyway, happy Halloween to everybody. I'm glad we got some extra people.
Yeah, 2,000 people. That's nice. but 2 so big and influential channels like ours, it's no wonder. I expected at least 10,000 people. But okay, 2,000 are also nice, I would say.
That is nice. That's awesome, really. Okay, so your latest videos. For those of you who don't know, I do the Oiler Greg channel, and I do just a few little movie reviews, usually movies that people haven't seen and maybe don't appreciate. But Cub, he does these in-depth, really complex reviews of not just a movie. If he reviews a movie, he'll review the book and everything related to it, all previous versions. It's really intense and complex and sophisticated. And if you like in-depth reporting, he does that like no one I've seen anywhere.
Yeah, you could say they are more like retrospectives on the subject, or on somebody, on a director or something like that.
Yeah,
that you get the whole
or
picture.
on a subject, on a particular movie or a series of movies. If there's only one movie, he'll go find all the source material. It's amazing the amount of research he puts into these things. So
Yeah,
I
but
would recommend checking out his channel and his videos.
yeah, but fact is, the latest video came from you today. You made a Halloween video.
I did Euler Greg's Mysterious World Volume 2,
Yeah.
Halloween Special Edition.
Yes,
True
and
Texas Tale of Terror. Go ahead.
Is this called creepy pasta? This form of video which you did?
I'm not sure. I was just doing kind of a true story from my past.
Yeah, because I thought this is called that way when you say tell a horror story, then they call it creepy pasta or something like that.
That might be true. That sounds right, but I can't confirm it because I don't know. It's not really something I've looked into.
So for people who don't know what we're talking about, this is the video from Greg. He made it especially for Halloween today, and I would say go tell the people a little bit about the video if you like.
Okay, so this is from 1986, and a friend of mine decided to go out to a very spooky area around Houston. It's called Blue Light Cemetery. This is a cemetery that was closed in 1905 and only had around 20 people buried in there. It was not a popular cemetery because it's a highly flooded area and very heavily wooded and spooky. And there was all kinds of strange lights. It's also known as Blue Light Cemetery. You could probably look it up on the internet. I know I have, and there it is. So the rumor was back in the day, in the 80s and in the 70s, and even throughout to today, that there were satanic rituals and other strange events and lights and spooky happenings that going on in there. And Houston is not a place that you get these kind of stories and rumors. We're a major metropolitan city, one of the biggest cities in the world, like the fourth largest city in the most advanced country in the world. And well, we do have that Blue Light Cemetery area, and he decided to go with some friends and check it out. There's no way to get in there because it was taken over by the Army Corps of Engineers. It was sealed off. There's barbed wire. There's dogs. The roads in there are impassable. People would cut trees down around Halloween because it was around Halloween night. Of course, the big night for, I guess, Satan people. That a lot of these strange stories would come out of there. And he came by my house and he's like, "Oh, let's go." I did not think this was a good thing to do, and I didn't know how they would get in there. And around that time, things called monster trucks had been invented, and somehow one of his friends had bought one of these and or made it himself. I think they were country boys, and this is the kind of things you do. These things had giant tires. They were jacked so high in the air that you had to get a ladder to climb into them. And they took this thing up into the spooky forest on Halloween, and an incident happened. I'll just leave the rest of it if you want to link to my.
I put the link already in the chat.
Okay, so something happened out there. I wasn't there. To make a long story short, they came back to the house and the truck looked like it had been through hell.
Yes, and I listened to the story. It takes 10 minutes, kind of, and
it's my longest video ever. Normally they run 2 or 3 minutes. This one was 11 minutes.
Yeah, I was surprised. It ran much longer than usually, and it was a very interesting story, and it reminded me of some short story collections I going through in this moment, and I went through in the past because I made this Night Shift collection here from Stephen King, these 20 short stories, and there's one story in it which has also a truck in it. And if you can remember, I think you have read them also, the Night Shift collection or Night Shift here from Stephen King.
I may have. I've read a lot of Stephen King. It doesn't pop into my mind right now.
No, this one was not adapted till now. It's one of the unadapted ones from the short. Most of them were adapted, but this one there were two stories with trucks, and
were they similar to mine?
No. But they also involved trucks. One is Mrs. So and So Shortcuts. She drove with her vehicle. It was also a truck. She tried to find constantly shorter ways to get to her to where she wanted to, and then she found a way that is shorter than the direct way. If you understand,
nice.
Yeah, through a wormhole or something like that. And
it would have to be, right?
Yes, because when she came back, it was the truck also. This was when you said the truck was full of mud and so on. It looked like it went through hell, and it reminded me on this passage of the short story, because the truck also, there were even creatures on it that couldn't be from this earth or something like that. So yeah, I thought
their truck was heavily damaged, and not just mud, but bullet holes were in it, and they had apparently had come across a satanic ritual and interrupted it and got into it. Yeah, and these were good old boys, so they defended themselves, I'm sure, but I don't know exactly what happened, and for obvious reasons, I didn't tell anybody. I didn't tell my parents or my friends. I told like my best friend, and I didn't even tell Kathy. Me and Kathy been together for 30 years, and it wasn't. You think people get into stuff like that, and everybody just runs their mouth, but really down in the South, when something happens that involves gunplay or something really weird like that, you don't want to tell that story, because there's a lot of reasons you didn't want to be involved, because you don't know what happened. And normally you'd go to the police or something, but you can't really go to the police and tell them there's some kind of satanic ritual. And my friend, my God, you just can't do that.
Yeah, and as I said, it really reminded me a little bit on these short stories from King, and I'm now working on short stories of Clive Barker, here the Books of Blood. So yeah, it's this kind of creepy stuff. These interesting short stories which work as a short story, but where you get problems when you try to adapt them into a movie.
For the time, it reminded me. Have you ever seen the movie Race with the Devil with Peter Fonda and Warren Oates?
Yes, of course. You mentioned. I think you mentioned that.
I did mention it because it seemed like at the time this was only, I don't know, a decade or so past when that movie had come out, and you had so many satanic themed movies in the 70s and early 80s that I thought I was being Halloween pranked until I saw their truck. I thought for sure that they had come back with this story and they'd set it up, and this was a big Halloween prank, which my buddy had never done before, but it would have been an awesome one. But there's no way they tore up their truck for a prank. And so if you watch Race with the Devil, man, I mean, you don't. I thought that was ridiculous. But after having that experience, when I watch that movie now, I don't laugh at it. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, there could be some really weird stuff going on out here. when it comes to religion, some people, whether the devil exists or not, people could certainly believe in it, and they could act in strange ways.
Yes, and of course, with what is going on right now on this planet, we can be sure that the devil exists or not.
That's what a lot of people say.
Yeah, it's kind of the proof for that, because what the governments are now doing with many people here on this planet is ridiculous, and it has to be a plan of the devil. I'm actually working on a project which also includes kind of the devil.
And remember, Cub is a atheist, I believe.
Yes, an atheist. And yeah, on Ghostbusters, the new Ghostbusters, and for my review, I'm overworking it and adding the new one to it when it comes out in 3 weeks. And yeah, it's also, there's a similarity what is going on right now also with Ghostbusters, because this Zul who wants to take over the world wants also to enslave the world. He wants to enslave the people. That's the threat in the movie, and also in this new version. It's the plot. So I think, okay, nice try, because the Ghostbusters are, of course, there to stop you. And we could wish the Ghostbusters would be there for us to stop the devil or the emperor or whatever right now, the deep state taking over the planet and enslave all people with mandatory vaccinations and mass.
You know what probably happened back in '86, 35 years ago, is Clinton and the good old boys probably interrupted the ritual that was going to enslave the earth at that time, thus giving us an extra 35 years. Maybe it's on a 35-year cycle or 33-year cycle every 33 years. And now Clinton's not around, and maybe they held the ceremony over there in the Black Forest. Maybe it's you guys who need to stop it this time.
You mean we are now the kid Ghostbusters, like in the new movie, who have to take over and save the world again?
Yes. Something like that. Of course, it's all tongue in cheek, but that really did happen, and who knows what they interrupted. Something sinister. Anyway, it's a pretty good video. It's probably my best video. It's certainly my longest. And yes, I did promise people the story.
Yeah, I agree on that. It's one of your best. I would not say it's your best, but it's right up in the top 5, I would say.
Sweet. It was a good Halloween special. My best Halloween video then.
Because for me personally, my favorite is your call check video. Why it's the one. It's linked also in this stream, by the way, in the description.
There's another Kolchak movie I haven't covered yet. I'm still got to do that.
Yes, you have to do that, and because that's my favorite video on your channel.
Well, it certainly has the most views. It's got almost 2,000. So,
very cool.
I average a couple of hundred, and it's got, I think, 1,700 or something.
Yeah, it's deservedly. It's really. I thought back then when we released it, I thought that's your best work till then, and this one is also very good. Which you released today. I really liked the story, and it reminded me heavily on these cool short stories from King and Barker, and I really thought, yeah, okay, cool, and this monster truck element.
So you like the narration? That's good. I'm glad I did a decent job.
Yeah, very cool. So looking forward to your next one, and. My last project was, of course, Candyman, because of this new Candyman movie. We can talk a little bit about that, but there is really not much to say. First off, did you see all the Candyman movies, Greg?
I didn't see all of them. I saw a couple of them. I wasn't really impressed. It's not a very good series. It's something you watch maybe late at night on one of your movie channels if there's nothing on.
Yes, and the problem with this series, let's talk about the first Candyman. The problems come, of course, from the adaptation, because they changed so much from the original story, and so they wrote themselves into a corner. Because this element with 5 times you call his name in the mirror and things like that, they are not from the short story. Not from Barker's original. And also the element of racism and so on is also not from his story. This is a thing they added, because in the original story it plays out in Liverpool, in England, and it's not a black guy, it's a white guy, and there is no he didn't die because he was in love with the wrong woman or something like that. And it's the only similarity is just that the guy in the original story, Candyman, didn't want to be forgotten. But he didn't commit any crimes or something like that. These murders were just legends. And when Helen finds out that they are just legends and made up, she stopped belief in him. And that's the reason why he turns up and takes her with him and kills her.
Because she didn't believe?
Yes, he was afraid to be forgotten. Was his only motivation, because he just lived on through the legends, and this was his whole existence, kind of. And so if people recognize that the legends are just that, they are not real, they are made up, he would be really forgotten. And that's the reason why the as I said, and that was his only fear. He just didn't. And also the original story is called the Forbidden, and didn't really figure out what the name exactly has to do with the original story, because, as I said, it's not he just turns up to prove to Helen kind of that he exists, and that's it. And at the end she dies in the fire, as we see in the movie, but it's not really a coherent storytelling after he shows up, because it's a surreal scene in the original story. So because she dies in the fire, and she sees her husband outside the fire, who doesn't do anything. So I expect, but it's a typical ending for a short story, for a creepy short story. It's not meant to be logical, or that if you understand what I mean.
Yes, I do. You know, a novel has a more complex ending. This is, you're going to have a simple story for a short story.
Yes, you have a kind of ending, open. Yeah, it's not really open ending, but it's not an ending that really makes sense. And but in a short story, it's really not that important. It doesn't have to be so super logical, everything and so on, because, as I said, it's not about what the movie makes it to be about. Because this racism aspect and things like that, and that he's a bloody murderer. So I don't know.
Do you think because he was a black character in a horror franchise that they had to make it about racism? Wouldn't it be more refreshing if all black characters weren't tied to the same storyline? If they were just people, and maybe, they're not a victim of racism, maybe they could be racist themselves. Maybe they could flip it on its head instead of just giving us the same story every time.
Yes, it's really frustrating to see that to type these are typecasts or what you call them.
And it limits it's not fair to the black characters, to the black actors, to black people in general, or to anybody when you box them into that one victim stereotype. It's just sad. It's poor writing is what it is.
Yes, it is poor writing, and the thing is, when you listen carefully to my review, I say that Tony Todd and also the woman, they are the saving grace of the movie. Both, especially Tony Todd. He's the best thing in this movie. He's a very good actor, and that's the only reason why the movie pushes the movie over the mediocrity. Just Tony Todd. If he wouldn't have played this character, this would be by the numbers horror flick already forgotten.
Correct.
Yeah, and so that's so much for this original Candyman. And so the Forbidden.
Okay, so now we'll go to one of my picks for this Halloween special. I made Cub watch it, and he, complained bitterly, but he did watch it supposedly. And it's a more modern movie. I'm always trying to find newer stuff, and I have to go through a lot of stuff to find anything that I can kind of recommend. And I'd like the movie, not a big budget movie, not one that anybody's heard of. It may have been on Netflix or something. I forget what, where it is, but it's called The Wolf of Snow Hollow, and it's from 2020.
Yeah, 2020. And I watched it today, and I was
we'll
not
let
impressed.
You go over the story then before you shoot torpedoes in it.
Yes, the story. It plays in Wolf Hollow. This is a little village in snowy mountains, Colorado or something like that. Or what would you say?
Yeah, something like that. I thought the setting was different and nice. Maybe because I live in tropical Houston, and this kind of reminded me maybe of Fargo or something. It's cold. It's dark. It's northern. Anyway, I thought the cinematography was pretty good on it, and the wolf attacks were pretty well done.
Yes, there are wolf attacks, and there is a sheriff who thinks the whole time that it has to be a person because he doesn't believe in werewolves, but the others.
But people are seeing this giant, very tall, wolf attack people, right? I mean, the story he keeps getting, and the scene of the crime is, people being torn apart. He doesn't believe it, but the evidence, as far as anybody else is concerned, is a werewolf.
Yes, the evidence is a werewolf, and also you have some details like that the victims, they are all women, and the victims get for some parts removed, and which is really reminds more of an animal than of like with Jack the Ripper back then. Yeah. When he removed parts
Jack
of
the
his
Ripper.
victims.
Jack the Ripper did it surgically, not like an animal, whereas this was torn out.
Yes, it is suggested that it is torn out, and also there are never any fingerprints. There are never any DNA evidence or something like that. It seems, and the biggest proof for the audience is, of course, the audience sees the werewolf. The audience gets to see a real werewolf, and not like, because we have to spoil the movie. Sorry, because we can't talk about it if we
okay,
don't
spoiler alert.
Yeah, because that's my biggest complaint on this thing. It is we get to see a CGI werewolf. So it's very good. It's made. It looks realistically, and it is shot in a way that you don't see so much of it, and that it doesn't destroy the illusion and things like that. But it is a werewolf, but at the end they make it out like some tall guy was really the killer. And this is just, for me, it was just a cheap cop out, because it's a cheap trick when you show a werewolf doing the crimes, and then you pull out at the end a tall guy out of your ass who just has half of a suit, by the way, a werewolf suit, because we never see.
It turns out he was a taxidermist.
Yeah, but we never see the head. But the head is the thing that convinced me in the scenes that we saw till then, because the werewolf that attacks the women that we get to see with our eyes on the screen didn't have a head just like a puppet or something like that.
No.
It really moved like an animal, and it looked like a normal, like we would suspect a werewolf would look like.
So you think there could have been a werewolf in addition to this person? Or do you think he could have? Do you think he could have been a werewolf, but he was also had this head or whatever, and
no,
you know, because as the audience we saw it was a werewolf.
Yeah, and the thing is that this was just a cheap cop out. This is just a cheap trick. We get to see a werewolf the whole time, and then they say, no, it was not a werewolf, it was this tall guy. But it wasn't. This is fraud. And so till then, the movie was really well made. I liked it. Well, but we have to hear relative.
So without the ending, you would recommend it?
Yeah, without the ending, I would recommend it. But as I said, the ending is, for me, destroys for me the whole movie, because when I say it was well made, it was well made for a TV movie that is obviously a directorial debut or something like that, because there are so many elements in this movie where I kind of got the feeling this is a first-time director, which tried some things, especially with the scoring. You could clearly see and hear that it was not well balanced. He tried sometimes to make some atmosphere with the score, but it was not well balanced, so that the score sometimes was too loud or too low and things like that, and didn't start at the right time for the scene. But these are minor complaints, because you could clearly see that he tried something with his few bucks, because I guess it was a very cheap movie also. But
yeah, it had to be.
Yeah, but they spent the money wisely. Really, I was not bored or something like that. When
but
I
the
say
acting wasn't bad, the writing wasn't bad. It did have the twist ending, and I thought you would enjoy the twist ending, because you know you're an atheist, you're a pragmatic guy. You probably,
Yes,
even though
but
Germany is overrun with werewolves, and I keep telling you Germany's overrun with werewolves, you don't believe me, and you don't think that there's werewolves all around you. So I thought you'd appreciate the fact that he kind of subverted your expectations.
Yeah, but they made a few mistakes to convince me with this ending. One of the mistakes was, of course, when you want to say this was a guy in a costume, you can't show the werewolf, because in the second you show the werewolf, you just can't show maybe a claw or something like that. But you can't.
I agree. That's why I'm saying perhaps he actually was a werewolf. We did see the werewolf. And maybe there's a whole story we don't know where he was setting this up and he was going to set somebody else up as a fake werewolf, but he got caught and killed without changing into the werewolf. Do you see what I'm saying? It's a we saw he was a werewolf, and he has this taxidermy head, and he was going to set up somebody else, and that would cover all of his killing. And that was my explanation. But very quickly, Cat Claw Entertainment has just watched my video, and she said it's very good. So thank you, Cat Claw.
Yes, and also there was some other things like what gave the wolf man away? His height, because he was the tallest guy in the whole movie, in the whole town anyway.
Yes.
So it doesn't make any sense that he wouldn't be one of the first ones that they would have questioned when they said directly after the first murder, we are searching for a tall guy. So this is just a small village.
If you remember, the sheriff was elderly and having heart problems. And they were, he was dealing with his son, with his deputy sheriff, and you had the other deputies were kind of incompetent. So you could see where maybe they didn't dot all their I's and cross all their T's. But I just gave you an alternate explanation for it. I thought overall, it was a good movie.
Yeah, as I said, for it is. I was not bored. I watched it,
but you were angry
till the end.
It's your normal state of affairs.
Yeah, and really, and this is really just the ending, which I really didn't like. I really thought, no, this is really, and also you had the fake ending also where they shot the suspect. They had somebody in mind who could have been this wolf guy, and this wolf guy committed suicide with an overdose or something like that.
Right.
So this was a storyline that went nowhere. Because why? What was up with this guy? We never got the message why the hell he was important anyway. What has
he was just a red herring they threw in there.
Yeah,
that way they could think that they had solved it and it was over, and then you could have your surprise ending.
Yeah, something like that. And but yeah, as I said, I can recommend the movie as an entertainment for 80 minutes, but I can't recommend the last 5 minutes.
Hey, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. I'll take that. Because our next movie, if we're done with this one, is do you want to go to Halloween Kills?
Who wants to go there? If we have to.
It's Halloween, and we got a Halloween movie. So I thought, we
Greg,
would go over.
Do we really have to? It was so bad. Oh my God.
It wasn't a good movie, but we should at least go over the highlights or lowlights.
Yeah.
I'm gonna let Cub. I'm gonna let Cub take this one, and you can give the details.
Halloween Kills. So Michael Myers. In the first movie, and we are now in the new Halloween timeline, which means since 2018, the reboot continuation of Halloween, Laurie Strode is not Michael Myers' sister anymore. She is just a random person that got in his way. And so the town here, Haddonfield, there were, I think, 3 murders or 4 murders, something like that. And also they changed the ending that Michael Myers got caught after his murder spree. So this Halloween 2 never happens. He never went through the hospital or something like that and killed many people there. And also he didn't die. He was just imprisoned in this sanctuary or whatever, sanatory. And yes, that was the first movie. So the first movie 3 years ago, they said Haddonfield had forgotten about Michael Myers, kind of, and just this crazy person, Laurie Strode, was the only person that was waiting for him, that he comes back and kills her, which didn't make any sense. Because why should he?
When she was his sister, he at least had a motivation.
Yes, and he had so little motivation that in the first movie, they even hired a driver to drive him to the house of Laurie. This psychiatrist or whatever, who was obsessed with Michael Myers, he played the driver, who just took Michael Myers in his police car to drive him to Laurie's house, which he had prepared. This trap. So it was really, this was so lazy writing to put a driver in that he can drive him to the points in the script.
Yeah, it's ridiculous, isn't it?
Yeah, it was completely ridiculous. So that was the last one. This one, they already retconned that with this one. Because in this one, they say all people in Haddonfield, or many of them, are constantly thinking of Michael Myers and make every year a ceremony to remember this guy who in 1978 killed 3 people or something like that in this town, and then got arrested and never showed up again. But they and it plays in the same night like the one 3 years ago, like the 2018.
Well, you know why they did that, right?
Maybe because Halloween 2 also played in the same night like Halloween 1 back then?
No, I mean, you know why they changed it to where the town all remembers him? Because you notice in the movie they have this mob mentality, and they're all, attacking
yes
Michael, and it doesn't seem to fit the story, does it? It doesn't fit the first movie. It's like they shoehorn this angry mob thing, and to have an angry mob, people would have to be aware of who he is and have the motivation of, okay, now you have a backstory where they're focusing on it every year, and now he's back, so they go insane with the madness. Well, this is about January 6th, the Capitol riot, where they were protesting the vote for Biden, and they said that's what the mob mentality was supposed to. It's a political. They shoehorn their politics into the movie, and so they had to retcon it, and it kind of ruined the movie.
Yes, it kind of ruined the movie, and it for sure ruined the story. It didn't make any sense whatsoever, because to give people this motivation and backstory with Michael, which they clearly didn't have in the first one, in the one 3 years ago, in the reboot, remake, continuation, whatsoever. They didn't have that. But now people turn up who are from the first movie, who were children, and the nurse here from the first one, who didn't even live in Haddonfield, but they all live in Haddonfield, and even they moved there, some of them, just to be together every year, to meet in the bar, to remember this guy who now 40 years ago killed some people. But if you are real, nowadays, this is really, it's not even newsworthy. That's so much worse. Also, serial killers and even normal killers, shootings where more people die every day on the news than these 3 people or whatever 40 years ago. So
yeah, so it's kind of ridiculous.
Yeah, it's ridiculous, really.
But one thing I did like about it was the number and creative ways.
Oh, the sound is gone. Greg, are you still there with us? Because your sound is gone. I can't hear you anymore, and you are not making any noise on StreamYards. So I hope Greg hears that I can't hear him, because I don't know. Have to ask the chat. Can you hear Greg? Is it just me that I can't hear Greg? Is the technical problem with Greg or with me? I have to know. If somebody could answer that in the chat, that would be cool. Because maybe my PC gave up again, and because I don't know. Okay, I have to try something. No. With my PC seems everything okay. It's just Greg. It's all on Greg. So okay, I think he's going to figure that out, and maybe he comes. I hear you, but not Greg. Yes, as I said, Cat Claw. Thanks for the saying that. Now I know it's all Greg's fault. Because of course you can count on the German guy, but this Texan guy, I don't know. Yeah, as I said, with Halloween, now Michael Myers, he in the first one 3 years ago, he got captured by Laurie in her house because she made this trap, and this is a very cool trap where you have somebody in the cellar, and then you have to set the whole house on fire. Greg, are you back?
I don't know. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. There are some noises, but I can hear you.
I had a technology failure. What noises?
So it's like white noise, something like that.
Oh no!
But it's not so. It's not such a great of a deal. Do you use something, another equipment or something like that?
No, I have everything muted here. No? Are you still picking up a noise?
Yes, unregularly. It's not the whole time. It comes and goes, kind of.
Better?
Yeah. So, sounds okay. It's okay. Who cares, Greg? If it is too bad, I'm going to tell you. Okay.
Okay.
So yeah, you were talking about Halloween. If you want to continue.
Okay. I thought the fact that they decided to put politics into it and rewrote the story around their political agenda hurt the movie.
Yes.
And obviously, that's not how they were going to originally go. They weren't going to do this mob mentality thing. But all that remains of the movie before they retconned it is the kill. And the kills I thought were pretty good. I asked you, when it cut me off, I was asking you how many kills did you think they had total in this movie?
If I had to guess, I would say 15, something like that.
Yeah,
or 20,
quite a few.
Maybe. Yeah.
I think more than 20.
Yeah, because
the first few minutes of the movie, he had seemed like 10 kills. the fireman. Which was your favorite kill?
Oh yeah, the fireman. Oh my God, you have two big killing sprees in the movie. The ones here at the beginning with the fireman, and
Yes.
also the one at the end when he's not dead at all, when he goes against the mob.
Right. So just in those two sprees, he probably got 15 or 20.
Yeah. Yes. He maybe 30 or total of
Maybe
30 or 40.
So I was impressed with the number and quality of kills, but I wasn't impressed with the plot. And
Yes.
there's also another controversy. I don't know if you heard. The gay people are upset because he kills the gay people.
Yes,
But
I
if
was.
he hadn't killed them, I mean, he doesn't discriminate. If he hadn't killed them, wouldn't they be upset that he, killed everybody
No,
but them?
if he wouldn't have killed them, I would have killed him. I would have went to Haddonfield and then kill Michael Myers himself, because for me that he hasn't killed them soon enough. They were such a pain in the ass, really, because of course they had to be gay, and yes, it's sweet, but why do we have to make so many scenes just to make sure that everybody got it? 10 minute scene or something like that. Why?
Yeah,
We got
it's
it.
not in.
It's
It's fine in another kind of movie, but in a horror movie, of Halloween, it's out of place.
yes, and also you don't establish characters by making long scenes with them. You establish them early on in the movie, and then in the story, during the story, and you don't have really, because also what was with this interracial couple, this old interracial couple. Yeah, they had to be established in the same scene where they got killed. That is not how you. I don't know. Didn't they get the bare minimum of filmmaking or storytelling? Wait, it is so hard to bring these people early on in the story, just that people see them for the first time, and then get a feeling who they are during the story. Writing.
They were so busy retconning it and adding the mob mentality January 6th political angle that it messed them up.
Yeah, really. Because instead of this bullshit in the bar with these stretched out long scenes where this boy character who is now grown up tells the story that we already know from the first movie, and also you had so many scenes from the first movie that they made especially for this one. You had this whole plot with this police man, a character from back then, who had the chance to shoot Michael Myers and didn't do it. And then you had of course the scene where Michael Myers got arrested, and then you got to see even a stupid storyline where one police officer shoots another one because he's just too stupid for his job. Because Michael Myers held his partner hostage, but he didn't even have a knife or something like that. He just holds him, and the policeman had a gun, so he could just go just in front of him and shoot him in the head, and that's it. And so he could have saved his partner, because choking somebody to death takes more than a second. It takes at least 10 or 20 seconds. And so it would be no problem for him to save his partner. But no, he even shoots his partner. Oh, my God.
So to sum it up, it's not really worth watching. But it did have some good, fun kills in it.
Yeah. And also, what was with this trans character? Which played a major role, and we get to see how he comes clean with his father, which I didn't care for. My God! And he was walking around in his female clothes here the whole time, and it was just embarrassing to watch, because this is a horror movie. This is not a drama, transgender drama, political whatsoever.
Well, that's what they did. They injected their politics, which is a common problem, which we went over before, and that's what happened to this movie.
Yeah, it was really.
It's supposed to be a fun, or if not fun, then scary. You know, the first Halloween was so well done. We're talking about one of the greatest horror movies of all time, and you get a hold of that franchise, you should live up to the standards of one of the great movies. You have a chance of doing something great.
Yeah, and also they decided to make out of Michael Jason. Because, please, that you can kill Michael at the end of the movie. Or it looks like that you kill him. And of course, he survives somehow for the next one. That's okay. But you can't kill him during the movie, and then he just stands up and kills everybody.
Yeah, that makes him supernatural.
That is Jason. That is not Michael Myers. Michael Myers still supposed to be this kind of threat that where still there is the possibility that he's human, but he is really. He really stretched.
They threw that away because they had to go with the mob mentality and the January 6th political angle, and so they had to have everybody attack him and kill him, and then they were stuck because they didn't want to end the movie right there.
Yeah, and with a supernatural Michael Myers, why the hell should I care? He's just another monster. You can't kill. So okay, that's it. And he has zero motivation now for his kills, because at least in the other continuations, and I can't stand them, the other Halloween movies, but at least they gave him kind of a reasonable motivation for his doing. They never made it out. The only one where Michael Myers was without a motivation was the first one. But that was because of the story. Because in the first one, he really was a threat that you couldn't, an unpredictable threat. That he was just crazy. Because we never get why he killed his sister. And also Dr. Loomis was there to kind of tell the people that he's dark in his heart. He has no soul or whatever. He's just a killing machine. There's really nothing human with him. So and that's also he randomly kills people in the first one. He doesn't has any special motivation. The motivation came with the continuations.
Without the Donald Pleasance character, and it really subtracts from the movie, because the original movie, having the yin and the yang of Michael Myers and Donald Pleasance as Dr. Loomis, that was the two poles on which the movie rested. Now you have the various victims and potential victims, but it gives you a protagonist and, of course, the murderer.
And the first movie, Michael Myers, he was just a boogeyman. He was really kind of a threat out of dark shadows that could get to anyone.
That's a good point. The Halloween is when you tell stories of boogeymen.
Yeah, and he was really just kind of he didn't go especially to the babysitters or whatever. It was just a coincidence. He went to the houses and killed everyone there. That's it. at DC tried, and there was really not. And in the first one, it works because till then this was also a new thing. This unpredictable threat, this killer without any motivation. Till then, till 1978, this was really unusual for this kind of story, and they never. Also, they in all the continuations and also in the rip-offs, like Friday the 13th and so on, they never went with this kind of story because they all have a motive. Jason has a motive, and in all Halloween continuations, Michael gets a motive. They never went with this.
Let's be clear that that's in cinema. We really have had these psychopathic killers among us, you know, probably throughout time, and they're so hard to catch because they don't have a tie to anyone. They don't have a motive, and a lot of times the cops would just railroad somebody else in there, so you would never even know that the other people were still out there because the cops would just, you know, convict somebody. You know how it was in the old days.
Yeah, and the motive.
They didn't want to look bad. There's no way they were going to have unsolved murders, so they would just find somebody and throw them in prison and rig the evidence.
Yeah, as I said, this motive, killer without a motive. It just
he might have a motive, but we just don't understand it.
Yeah, maybe. Of course, he probably he has one, and we just don't understand it. But to go with it in this new Halloween doesn't really make any sense. It is just because the kind of how they pulled it off in the first one. Where they said, "Oh, he's not Laurie's brother," and things like that, and so he really was just a crazy guy. That's it. And after 40 years, of course, he decides to go back to Haddonfield for no reason, because he had no reason to go there. But who knows? And then now they in the second one they made it up like the town was suffering because of Michael Myers, but so they were suffering because a guy 40 years ago killed 3 people in this town. That doesn't make any sense.
It makes no sense.
Yeah.
Anyway, I think we went on enough about that.
Yeah,
I have picked another horror movie, obscure horror movie from the early 70s by Roman Polanski called The Tenant. Have you seen this movie?
Yes, of course. It's here in Germany. It's called Der Mieter, and a friend of mine uploaded it recently on a platform. So I was able to rewatch it, and yeah, it's still like I remembered it. It's an excellent movie, and it's about a guy who goes to a new home, and the former woman who was living there committed suicide.
This is an apartment in Paris.
Yeah, an apartment. It plays out in France, in Paris, and this is a. It's not a student. He works in marketing. I think in editing for books or something like that.
Yeah, something like that. And he's not a native to France. He's from Poland, I think.
Yes, and it's played by Polanski himself, who is from Poland, by the way. So he's also the main.
What did you think of his acting in the movie?
It was very good. He's a good actor and a good director.
It is surprising to have somebody who can direct themselves. Sometimes you see it, but not usually to this extent, where they're the primary star. And really, it's a very personal movie. It's focused on him exclusively a lot of the time.
Yes, not many people can pull that off to direct and act. And I'm not saying not many are making it. I say there are many directors who also play the lead in their movies, but most of them suck because
Right.
you normally people are good at one thing: directing, making special effects, or acting, or
I think
something like that.
he wrote the movie as well, didn't he?
Uh, Possibly he rewrote the
Or maybe
script
he
because the
co-wrote
movie
it.
is based on a novel.
Right.
And he didn't write the novel, but for
No.
sure. But it's possible that he wrote the script. That is possible. And I haven't read the novel yet, so I can't tell how close it stays to the novel. I really can't tell. But if I ever review the movie, then I'm going to read the novel, and then I can tell you more. But the movie itself, it's very good, and it is. I don't know. Can we spoil it? It's an old movie. It's I think 40 years or something like that.
Almost
50
50.
years. Yeah, 50 years.
Okay, well, spoiler alert. Spoiler alert.
So the movie is about somebody who goes crazy, and you can watch 2 hours how he's he develops a kind of split personality and turns into the woman that committed suicide at the end.
Well, it's a descent into madness, and I'm not sure if he's being affected supernaturally, if what he is seeing is actually true, and or if this is all just in his mind, because the shots very up until a certain point near the end of the movie, you're only seeing what he sees. So there's no bathroom, for instance, in his apartment, and he'll look out across the alleyway or whatever it is, and he'll see these other people staring back at him. And at one point, he sees some Egyptian hieroglyphs, and he looks across and he sees a girl dressed as a mummy, and she unveils, and he finds a tooth in the wall.
No, Greg. He didn't see a girl dressed as a mummy. He sees the woman that was before him that committed suicide because
Was that her?
Yes, because he saw her in the hospital. He visited her to see.
Well, that's right. She was dressed in all the bandages. So you're saying that's
Yes.
the bandages.
Yes, and he takes off the bandages, and then you see her. Then, but I'm not sure if it's her or if it's him as a woman when she takes off the bandages, because they kind of look. I think it's him when she takes off
the
him.
the big reveal at the end.
Out as a woman. He has lipstick on under the bandages when she takes the bandages off. He has her hair and lipstick on and things like that. So
Okay, but let's go back. When he first gets the apartment, he finds out that she isn't dead yet, and he goes to visit her, I guess, to see if she's going to die, whether he should put some money down on this thing. And so when her other girlfriend shows up, and they're both seeing him. When he ends up in the hospital at the end of the movie, he looks exactly like she did, and
yes,
you can see him looking out, and he experiences him and the girl showing up to visit him,
yes,
like
we
he's
see.
caught in some kind of like
we
he
see-
became her
Yeah,
in the hospital.
we see the same scene from his perspective, from the woman's perspective, because he stands there.
He yelled, and it looks like he has really become her back in time.
Yes, it looks like he's back in time.
If that's the case, then it's not a simple case of him going crazy. It's something else going on, something supernatural that we don't understand.
Yeah, I don't think there are any supernatural elements in the movie, because we see most of the time two shots. We see, for example, we see how a scene starts. Then we see the real people here, his neighbors and so on. But then we see a shot from his point of view, where these people turn into the people that where random people turn into the neighbors or something like that. And so it's, for me, it was the whole time clear that everything is just in his mind. Because also in one scene
let's go back to another discussion me and you had on The Shining, and the fact that I pointed out that there's these different shots, and you have shots that have different. A light switch will be in a different location when you're looking from her point of view. It's totally different. There'll be a totally different light fixture above her head. There'll be all these different things that are clearly different. And my theory was that there's no supernatural element in The Shining, that all the supernatural elements are in her mind, exactly as you're saying. But in that case, you said that it was supernatural, and that you did not believe my theory that these were actually all in her mind. But in this case, you're taking the opposite tack.
Yes,
you see that we're on either side of the argument.
Yes,
in this case, I'm saying it could be supernatural. In that case, I said it definitely wasn't. But now we have switched positions.
Yes, we have switched. But I want to answer here to Bollocks, because he was asking why so many people are watching here. And yeah, we had here 2,000 people watching in the start, over 2,000. And I think Greg said something stupid or something like that, and all disappeared. That's at least that's my theory. Greg, what is your theory?
I think it was my Halloween video and me putting all those links in various chats where I'm a moderator, drew them in. And then I probably chased them away.
You scared them away with your horror story.
Yeah, I did.
Or do you suspect again any supernatural things here?
It could be supernatural. Yeah, you've already rained all over my werewolf pick, and you've disagreed with me on the tenant when it's I don't know. But I do find it interesting that in The Shining and the Tenant, we took the opposite sides of both arguments.
Yeah, the thing is, I thought there are supernatural elements in The Shining because Kubrick put some scenes in there that suggest that. And especially the scene where Jack comes out of the fridge or the refrigerator, where clearly somebody opens the door. And for sure, it's not his wife. Or Danny.
He was never in the refrigerator.
Okay.
She imagined putting him in the refrigerator.
Okay. But at the end...
He was outside.
Yeah, but we get at the end a shot to the picture. To the old picture.
Yes, it comes back to the picture.
Yeah, and the picture clearly shows him that he was always in this hotel. He was,
or somebody who looked a lot like him just happened to be in that photo.
yeah, but why showing that? That doesn't make sense.
That's to throw people like you off.
As I said,
because otherwise, my theory fits perfectly. How do you explain the fact that when she looks into an area, you see chairs are missing, light fixtures are different? We're not talking just minor stuff.
yeah,
We're talking they had to remodel the area to make these shots different. So
yeah,
it's
but
clear that she's seeing something that's not there. Her mind is gone. When she thinks back on him berating the boy and all this stuff, that never happened. He didn't do any of that stuff. When he's sitting there plucking away at the typewriter, that didn't happen. That's all in her mind.
But there is also a fact or a factor, which is the original story, Stephen King story, is a ghost story. It is a supernatural ghost story.
Did not want to go with a supernatural element. He does not. He's like you. He's an atheist. He doesn't believe in the supernatural, and he wanted to do a supernatural story that's actually a descent into madness story, like you're saying. This movie, The Tenant, is.
Yeah, but with The Tenant, we have just too many shots where we see two scenes. We see the scene, how it plays out in his mind, and we see the scene, how it really plays out. Because when
but at the very end, when he's in the hospital and he sees them come visit him, and he screams because he is her now. What about that?
Yes,
that's like your picture at the end of The Shining.
Yes, this is exactly. This is really the only, but it is the kind of the only scene in there which would suggest that here's something supernatural.
And that's what I'm saying about your photo at the end of The Shining.
But in The Shining, we have more than one. We have more than one scene in The Shining that suggests that there are supernatural elements.
Those can all be explained. We would have to go back to that entire discussion. I didn't mean to bring up The Shining and go through it point by point. All I'm saying is it's an interesting duology or similarity between the two movies, and it's even stranger that we're taking opposite sides. I'm now on your side and you're on my side.
No, Greg. Greg, I can explain that. There is the right side, and there's the side from the other guy.
Right.
When it comes to my opinion, you know that there's the right side, the German side, the right side, and the other side from whoever, so that you get these things right, okay?
Well, another Halloween-related thing about The Tenant was Roman Polanski's wife was Sharon Tate, and if people remember, she got murdered by the Manson family.
Yes, but
so Roman Polanski, if he had just happened to have been home, would probably have been murdered as well.
Yes, and Sharon Tate, that people know who that was. She was playing together with Roman Polanski. They were the main characters in kind of not, but they played together in The Fearless Vampire Hunters.
Yes, she was also in one of the not Bond movies, but what was it? In Like Flint, or Dean Martin used to do like a spy type deal. I think she was in something like that.
Yes, and there was a movie a few years ago, 2 or 3 years ago, I think, here from Quentin Tarantino. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, it was called. where you see what is happening to Sharon Tate, but not really, because as we know,
It's a fairy
Tarantino,
tale, but
it's
it is based on up until a certain point. It's very similar. So you see her actual life, and that's what her life would have been like up until that day.
yeah. If Brad Pitt would be there to kill her murderers, yeah, uh, uh, and and um, and so she would be still alive. Yeah, sure. But I don't like.
I liked the Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Did you not like the movie?
No, no, I didn't like it at all because there were just too many things in it which I don't like in movies in general. This revisionist history telling is a thing I couldn't stand in Inglorious Bastards, and I also couldn't stand it here in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and
Well,
also.
I think the fact that they named the movie Once Upon a Time gives them the license to do that, don't you?
Yeah, maybe it gives them the license to do that, but it doesn't give them the license to treat one of my all-time favorite actors and characters ever, Bruce Lee, with such disrespect. Because
Well, that's fair.
really, this is the thing that really, really pissed me off. The thing with Sharon Tate, I thought was just tasteless because and also it was I think it's confusing for people who don't know the original story and think maybe it really was that way. And so I'm not a fan of it, but I say yeah, okay. But this is not the thing that really pissed me off. As I said, what pissed me off was putting Bruce Lee in there and then treating his character with so little respect, pretending he was an arrogant asshole or something like that. No, I'm pretty sure Brad Pitt is an arrogant asshole in real life, and I'm pretty sure that Bruce Lee was exactly the opposite also in real life. So yeah, that is the thing that pissed me off.
No, that's fair. But to be fair, you get pissed off easily and you rant a lot. So
Yeah, but I'm German. What did you suspect? Everything else wouldn't make any sense. I have to stay in character, Greg. I'm not like Halloween. It can change character with every movie. Greg, are you still there? Oh my God, he muted the sound. So I guess again some technical issues or something like that. Oh, so what's?
can you hear me?
Yes, yes, of course. Can you hear me
Why
too?
did it do that?
I don't know.
My phone muted itself.
Yes,
I'm
because
glad you mentioned that.
yeah, Greg, because we put a German spyware on every phone. So when a German when you say something nasty to a
When
German,
y'all are losing the argument, it automatically mutes.
yes, before a German loses an argument, the German spyware mutes the phone normally.
It sensed it. Okay, well, did you have anything else to say on the Tenet? I think we'd both recommend it.
Yes,
I picked it as my Halloween horror pick, although, as Cub says, I'm not sure that it's really a horror movie. I would say the Wolf of Snow Hollow is not a horror movie; it's a thriller. And I would say The Tenet is a descent into madness movie, or possibly a supernatural horror movie. I'm not sure. Me and Cub took different sides on that, but did you have anything else to say about it?
no, you can really compare the Tenant to The Shining, and yeah, it's a study on somebody who goes crazy, kind of.
Oh, and like we both said, it uses the aspect of dual shots, where in The Shining and in The Tenet, It'll show you from his point of view or from her point of view, it being one way, and then we see how it really is. And so you're left to ask yourself, was this all in her mind? Was it all in his mind? Or was something else going on?
Yeah,
Because
and
clearly he doesn't want to start dressing as a woman. He's a regular guy. This is not a sexual thing. He seems to be programmed or forced into doing it. And remember, how did that tooth get pulled out of his mouth and put in the wall? Did he do that himself? There was some strange stuff going on.
yes, and also there were some strange things going on with his behavior. In general, his rituals. When he was smoking, normally he was smoking gouloirs, but
Right.
he never smoked them in the whole movie. In the whole movie, he was smoking Marlboro for some reason, which
Well,
is
he
the
kept
same.
asking for his cigarette, and they kept saying no. All they had was Marlboro. So
Yes,
that's why.
yeah, but
And
in one scene he
remember
buys.
when he tried to switch back to his coffee from the hot chocolate? Everything around him was forcing him to do exactly as she did, forcing him to become her. And remember at that one point when he went over and they brought automatically the Marlboros and her hot chocolate, and he's like, no, I don't want the Marlboros. I don't want I want my Goudoirs. I want my coffee. And like, oh, the coffee machine is broken and we're
Yeah,
out of your cigarette.
but
We're
there was
always out.
also a strange scene where
Why were they always out of his cigarette?
yeah, but there was also a strange scene where he went to a kiosk or another place and especially bought Marlboro.
Bye, Cat Claw. She's got to leave. Happy Halloween. Thanks for
Yeah,
stopping
yeah,
in.
yeah. Thanks for stopping by. Uh, uh, you can remember, Greg? There was this scene where he met, where he came back and said he wanted to buy cigarettes, even if he bought just a few seconds before he bought the Marlboro, and then he came back because he saw this girl, this friend from the former who lived there, from the woman, and but he didn't ask for Gouloir. He bought directly Marlboro in this shop.
Well, he ended up knowing that they weren't going to have his brand, so he just accepted, and maybe he enjoyed them for a little while. It wasn't until he started seeing that he was starting to become her when he like started painting his nails, and then when he woke up and he was like, "What in the hell have I done? Why do I look like this?" And we don't know why all that was going on. He said he was being forced into being her, that they were doing that to him. And maybe that's what was going on. Maybe it was supernatural. I think in both cases of The Shining and The Tenant, the director leaves it open to interpretation because of that last shot. In both cases, you could be right. It could be that The Shining is supernatural. Everybody says that. I'm one of the few who says no. Whereas in The Tenant, you're probably wrong.
And to close that, both movies, of course, there are from really good directors. Kubrick, Polanski. This is a caliber of director you can't really. This is not like, for example, the guy who made the Wolf of the Snow Hollow or whatever.
Oh.
Yeah, these are really really good directors. You can
and they're only set a few years apart.
Yeah, and you can see that in every movie, every shot, they know also how to use the score and things like that. And this is just a different experience to watch. It was really nice to see something from Polanski after all this crap in the last weeks, especially after this
really was.
crap. Yeah. Oh my God, a real movie. Seeing a real movie with the
and you enjoyed Wolf of Snow Hollow all the way up until the end. So that's something.
Yeah, it was okay. But of course, seeing after that the Tenant, so Snow Hollow didn't. The impression of Snow Hollow got smaller and smaller with every scene.
Yeah, but that's a 2020 movie. It's really hard to find something from the 2020s that you can freaking recommend nowadays. You know?
Yeah. We have to give it to this Wolf movie that at least it is something I wouldn't got straight out embarrassed by it.
Okay. Our next movie is going to be another one from 2021 that I can actually recommend. I actually enjoyed this thing. It's Dune.
Oh, very cool. You have seen Dune.
I have seen Dune.
Yeah, and do you also know the novel?
Yes, I read the book.
Oh my God! Because
and I've seen the 1984 edition with Sting.
Yeah, because I haven't read the book. So
no, I read the book a long time ago, like before I watched the 1984 movie. I read the book.
Oh,
because
yeah,
I've been reading books for a very long time.
So it would make sense if you tell us a little bit about Dune.
Okay, so you got a vast empire. This empire runs on spice. Spice comes from the planet Dune. Spice lays on the surface of Dune. Spice allows the navigators, I think they're called, to transit from one area to another using, I don't know, some mystical ability. So on this planet, there's the freemen, who are like, I don't know what you would call them, the native inhabitants who, this is a very desert planet with no water, and they've been driven down into these last strongholds. There are also sandworms that are gigantic, and any type of activity on the surface draws a sandworm attack. So you've got these great houses and an emperor. The emperor has Sardaukar Legion. The houses have their own fighting units. They are spread throughout the galaxy on habitable worlds. One of these worlds is a water-filled paradise that House Atreides is on. The emperor asked them to take over Dune and the spice mining, which is being currently controlled by House Harkonnen. This is not a normal thing. The Emperor is doing this because he wants to destroy House Atreides, because he fears that they might one day rise up and take his position, I believe. Well, so it's a setup, and they know it's a setup, or they suspect, but they take it anyway because honor. And honor drives the House Atreides to this desolate world where the Harkonnens have sabotaged the equipment for harvesting the spice. I guess we can give away spoilers. There's they take over on Dune.
Yes,
it's such a complex book.
Yes, it's kind of, if people have seen the old movie, the David Lynch one, you can say it's half of a third of the old one. It's
yeah,
still,
it only gets to about less than halfway.
Yeah, it's still to the point where the Hakon take over again, and
yeah,
and
they betray House Atreides. The Emperor sends his Sardaukar unit. The Harkonnens have more troops than House Atreides, but they also have the Emperor sending in his elite unit. So there's really no chance at all to defeat them. They're taken by surprise. They're outnumbered. They're outgunned.
Yes, and
but
they
fight hard.
have the most important thing. They have a spy in the house of Atreides. This doctor character who lifts the shields.
Right, and he knocks out the Duke as well.
Yeah.
So he knocks out their leadership, and he drops their shield. So even if that hadn't happened, they probably were going to lose, just looking at the numbers.
Yeah, so it was a complete setup, and so they go flee into the desert because they can they get captured, and but they use they have kind of supernatural powers with their voice. And
the wife of the Duke and the mother to the main character is a witch basically, and they have their power of their voice among other powers, and they can take control of people and make them do whatever they say.
yeah, but mostly people with not a strong will, they say.
Yeah.
It's really that they have to use the voice. They if they have something in their mouth or something like that, they can't use it, of course.
And they have to get just the right pitch.
Yeah, and so they can flee into the desert and meet up with the native people, which are, I think they live also in tribes, these native people.
Yeah.
And this is the moment kind of where the movie ends, the new one.
Yeah, they have a fight with one of the natives, kind of a ritual battle, and when that's over, basically they're done for now. But clearly, if you've seen the first movie, they're only like a third of the way through that. It ends abruptly, and they absolutely have to have at least one more movie, which has been confirmed. Thankfully, we're going to get another movie.
Yeah,
but I thought the visuals were stunning. I liked the musical score. I thought the acting was good. One of the things I've noticed was Paul had all these positive male role models, which you don't see. And tell me another movie where the father was just a regular good guy and not some sort of total jerk, some sort of asshole who, cheated and did this and that and the other thing. You don't see that anymore because every writer in Hollywood seems to have daddy issues.
Yes, it was really refreshing.
Atlander's in the chat.
Oh, ja, cool. Hi. Atlanta. Jetzt hau den Link raus. Yes, I'm here. And Atlanta, he asks for the link because he thinks this is like my German stream where everybody randomly can.
I hear you.
You can't hear me? What the hell? But I can hear you.
I'm going to go out and come back in.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, okay. I hope the chat can still hear me. And Atlanta, ich hau hier keine Links raus, weil das ist der englische Stream, ja. Da kommt nicht jeder rein, ja. So, just told him, here my German friend here, that I'm not, this is the English version of Cups Ecke, Cups Corner. So, no link today. So,
can you hear me?
Yes, of course. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Yeah,
I'm just having technical difficulties, but I overcame it again.
Yeah, this I told you. This is the app. This is the secret app here that every time
it must have sensed you were about to lose an argument.
No, when you don't agree with the German guy, then it could happen that your sound disappears mysteriously. Hey, maybe it's a supernatural thing, or don't you think?
Maybe. At the very end of the stream, you'll get to decide. Cub will put up like a special picture with him in the center of a ballroom or something. Who knows?
Yeah, and I when you were not here, I don't know if you have heard that. I just told the Atlanta that I'm not going to put the invite link into the chat as I do usually on my German stream, because this is more for just guests that we spoke beforehand that can come in. It's not, people can't come randomly in here. So
well, that's true. This is our Halloween stream. You gotta get loaded up beforehand and be part of the team.
yeah, or your name should be Bazzil or something like that. Then you have an open invitation for every Halloween stream. Anyway.
That's true. We may do another stream where we invite other people in at some point, though. So keep tuning in and keep hopeful, because it has happened before and it might happen again.
Yeah, of course.
But we're having a shorter stream today because Cub is invited to go into the woods. He's got a special werewolf mask, and hopefully he's going to be meeting up with all his buddies after tonight's stream.
No, I'm not. I'm still have this cold, and so I'm not going anywhere, and especially not in the woods, because the weather is not the greatest today anyway.
Oh, is it cold there?
Yeah, I think so. And but I'm not feeling
so?
well.
You don't even know what the weather is?
It's dark here. It was not good the whole day. So it was kind of rainy, and so I really have no urgent to go out today. I just went one time out to visit my mother, but she was not even home. So I went there for just.
Oh no!
Yeah, she wasn't. Yeah, because she was visiting a friend or something like that.
Maybe she's out trick or treating.
Yeah, maybe. Who knows? But yeah, as I said, so I'm not going anywhere. But for Dune, I really liked it. Also, I'm not the biggest Dune fan in the first place, but this is one of the very few movies this year. I think even the only one, I would say. It's the only movie that came out this year where I would give a recommendation, not because it's the greatest movie ever made, but because it is entertaining. It seems like it stays true to the source material. What would you say? You know the source material?
I think the visuals were really good. I thought the acting was good. I thought it stayed true to the source materials. I didn't see any evidence of a political agenda or anything like that in the movie.
Yeah,
it's not the best movie ever made, but it's certainly the best movie out this year.
Yeah, that's for sure. I would really say it's easily the best this year. They have to really come out with something interesting, and we have seen these other ones. Venom 2 was garbage. Halloween Kills was garbage, and do you know another movie this year which was at least decent or something like that?
I can't think of one. I'm sure,
Yeah, I also
maybe we're forgetting something from the trauma of all the bad movies we watched.
Yeah, because I think The Lighthouse was last year or not, or even.
Yeah, that was a couple of years ago.
Yeah, so because that's a kind of the last one where I knew from the new movies where I would give a recommendation. So yeah, and also the upcoming stuff. I am so sure that this new Ghostbusters movie with the kids.
I don't know. I'm holding out hope for Ghostbusters. I haven't seen it yet, and it's got some of the original cast. A lot of people who don't like it are, not good people. So, who knows? Maybe it's actually going to be good. I understand they're going to have the kids, and that could ruin it. But I was hopeful about Dune, and it turned out to be pretty good. The first time, I liked the trailers, and it turned out that the visuals looked great and the story was good. It stayed true to the book. I've got nothing bad to say about it. It's not the greatest movie ever, but it's a good movie. It's half of a story, or maybe a third. So you can't judge it on it's not a complete story. If this was alone, it would be a bad movie because it's only a part of a story, and you can't end it where they ended it. They could have found I think a better place to end the movie. Maybe after a worm ride, maybe after like the first battle or something. it would have been more exciting and put a better closure on this movie. So I could put that as a possible complaint as to where they chose to end the movie. But overall, I think they did it like that so they could be sure of getting a second movie, and they did. It's been greenlit.
Yeah, and it comes out officially in 2023, I think.
Oh, that would be nice. Hopefully early.
Yeah, they said that 2023 summer or
Well, that means they're already ready to shoot. They must have the script ready and everything ready to go.
Yeah, I think they have. It's such a big project. It would be crazy. Hey, Greg, if your name is not Disney, you don't start a trilogy or something like that, or a super big franchise or whatever, without having already finished the scripts for part 2 and 3. If you start, no, just crazy people would do that or not.
Yeah, that's insane.
Especially
for a major franchise.
Yeah, for a major franchise.
In this case, you already have the book sitting there, so it's so easy to adapt. You don't have to come up with a story. The story's there. You just have to adapt what's already written.
Yeah, it's not like with Disney, with Star Wars, because they hadn't any original material to draw from. Don't you know that? There was there was no expanded universe or something like that they could draw any stories from. So they had to start from the scratch, as Kathleen Kennedy said. Of course, you have to start from the scratch when you retcon all the material you had till then.
Yeah, it's a nightmare what they did with Star Wars.
Yeah, it's not a canon anymore to put it say, oh, these are legends, and then copy them anyway in your stupid movies with some of the storylines.
Right. So overall, we can both recommend Dune. That's been a while since we both recommended something.
Yes, clearly recommendation. And as I said, I think it will stay the best movie of the year because Ghostbusters could be. I still have a little bit hope for Ghostbusters, and but I don't have any hope for Spider-Man, the third one, since I have already seen the stupid trailer, and the last two Spider-Man were god awful. I can't stand Spider-Boy anyway, and have no hope. And also to drag Doc Ock into this is for me sacrilege anyway. I don't want to see Doc Ock fighting this Spider-Boy. He already fought against Spider-Man in the best Spider-Man movie made till now. So, and that's
it'd be nice if they moved on to an actual Spider-Man. All we've seen is like teenage Spider-Man forever. I'm tired of it.
Yeah, and also to pulling Doc Ock into this. Why? With the original here with Molina, I don't want to see my favorite villain fighting this Spider-Boy. I'm not interested in that. It's really, for me, this is really horrible. It's my favorite villain, so yeah, they already disgraced here here with Michael Keaton. What's the name? Which here this Vulture or what's he's called in English? This character, this villain. From the first,
I don't know.
From the first Spider-Man, from Homecoming. Here, Michael Keaton. He played Vulture, or what you call it in English. This villain.
I forget. It's been a while since I saw it. I'm not really a comic book guy. When I grew up, while Jez and others were going to comic book stores, there wasn't any comic book stores around my neighborhood. We had an old bookstore where you could buy secondhand books, and I didn't have much money, and that's where I went down and I bought stuff like Lord of the Rings and Dune and things like that. I'd buy them with the covers off. I didn't care, and because it's science fiction and fantasy, it didn't matter if it was 10 years old or 20 years old. I'd get it for 20 or 30 cents, and so I read novels.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
So
you could.
I'm not the comic book expert like Jez and these other people are.
Hey,
I've seen these movies. It's been a long time since I've seen it. I don't really care the names of some stupid comic book villain. I'll watch it. It's okay, and I'll discuss it. But yeah, intense questioning. Good luck with that. I'm not going to have your answer.
no problem. As I said,
Ask me about a Balrog from Lord of the Rings. I didn't just read Lord of the Rings. I read The Hobbit and I read The Silmarillion. I did all that by the time I was 12 years old.
Hey,
And if you've read The Silmarillion, it reads about like the Bible does. It's extremely complex. But, that's where you get the background to the elves and the dwarves and the Balrogs and who Gandalf and the Saruman and them actually are. That's the kind of stuff I was into.
Yes,
I'm not a perfect. I can't tell you who Batman's best villain was or something. I'm sorry. You got the wrong person on here.
No, Greg, they're coming up with a new Lord of the Rings series from Amazon, and when this starts, we can talk about that.
That'll be fun. I hope they don't butcher it like they're saying they might.
Yeah, Gary has real concerns, and I don't know because I haven't read I have, of course, read the books, but not the Silmarillion, for example. I just have read Lord of the Rings, and tried to read The Hobbit because I didn't like it at all. The book, it was not for me. I like
it was he wrote in different styles. The Lord of the Rings was one style. The Hobbit was more for children almost, and then the Silmarillion was some sort of almost a textbook or a Bible or something. Very strange. 3 totally different styles in all. It's hard to explain, and I slogged my way through all of it because that's what I did back then. It's been a long time, but yeah, it's interesting. I'm certainly looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Did you get a chance to see? I Know What You Did Last Summer, the series.
No. Should I have to?
I've made my way through the first 5 episodes so far. Maybe on the next stream, if you get a chance to look at it, we can discuss that.
Yes. The next or the one behind that, because I have a review in the pipeline. Scream. Anyway, for January, because the new Scream 5 comes out 13th of January, and I'm thinking about not only reviewing the Scream series, but also in the same video I'm maybe also I Know What You Did Last Summer, because it goes kind of in the same direction.
Yeah, so maybe we'll do all that at the same time.
Yeah, and so it would really make sense.
Well, our next stream is scheduled for the day after Christmas, December 26th, I believe. Correct?
Yeah. So that is too early for me. That I watched the series here. I Know What You Did Last Summer, but I can promise you I'm going to
schedule.
Yeah, but the stream after that, I have to watch it anyway for my review, so that would make more sense.
Okay, in January, well, that makes sense. We'll just do that then.
Yeah, so in January I'm going to watch it, and also I have to watch the Scream series. If you have, did you know that there is also a Scream television series?
Oh, Scream? There's a TV series?
Yes, there's a TV series with many episodes. Yeah, kind of. It's not brand new. It's there. There are 3 seasons or something like that.
I'll have to see if it's on one of my many channels I get.
Yeah, I have already organized all the episodes, but I still didn't watch any episode because I'm not looking forward to it. But I have to anyway. So yeah. But can you tell a little bit about our next subject, because I have to go to the bathroom for a minute.
Okay, go ahead. Okay, so our next subject, I guess I'll skip down to our Zeitgeist segment. We've been discussing movies that capture the zeitgeist of different eras and different places. One I was thinking of was New York City in the early 70s. And I picked two movies that I think kind of reflect the time and the place. Because if you think of the United States, Texas is totally different than New York. Louisiana is totally different than Texas and New York. California, Oregon. So if you're going to say the zeitgeist of the United States in the early 70s, really you almost have to pick a zone or an area, because it's such a large continent. It's like Europe comparing France and perhaps the Soviet Union of the 1970s would be totally different, or Germany and Italy, or Switzerland and England. It's just you can't say that the zeitgeist of Switzerland is the same, even though the year is the same and the geography is similar. So getting back to it, going to New York in the 1970s, Death Wish. Hey, you back, Cub?
Yes, I'm back.
Okay, so I was going to our Zeitgeist segment, and I had picked New York in the early 70s. And I was explaining that because the United States is so large, New York or Texas or Oregon or New Orleans, they're totally different. You can't really have a zeitgeist of the entire United States. You can have some similarities, but I can tell you Bourbon Street in New Orleans is so different than New York City or Atlanta or whatever. So I almost have to be more specific. It's like comparing England and Germany, or Germany and the Soviet Union during 1973. Just going to be so totally different. At any rate, the two movies I picked are Death Wish with Charles Bronson and The Taking of Pelham 1, 2, 3.
Yes.
With Quint, Robert Shaw from Jaws.
And yeah, I know both movies, of course, and both got remakes, by the way.
That's true. I think John Travolta was in the Pelham remake, and Bruce Willis was, wasn't he in the Death Wish remake?
Which was from Ridley Scott.
Yeah.
Because I thought it was from Tony Scott, but no, I think it was from Ridley Scott even.
So in the original Death Wish, this is a movie about revenge. His wife gets murdered, and he takes to the street as kind of a vigilante. And this is one of the first movies where they used like the cover of Newsweek as part of their movie. They had special editions printed up and placed them. They did the fake television news reports and put them into the movie. I don't remember seeing that previously in a Hollywood production or in any production. So this was a real attempt to try and grab the feeling of the time. And at that time, there was a heroin epidemic. The inflation had taken hold, and people's money was worth a lot less than it had been previously. The poor people, were desperate and starting to steal. Your law and order was breaking down, basically, and you were having more rapes and murders. And so some people in America started fighting back against it. And this being a gun culture, they started carrying guns, and this was a story about somebody who did exactly that and struck back against it. What did you think of the movie?
I really liked the movie. Death Wish. Yes, I know it's about somebody who takes the law in his own hands, which is normally is not something I would support, but even our present shows that people sometimes have to do that. When, especially when the state fails, and we have in this moment exactly a situation again where the state fails, but for other reasons, not like back then in the 70s, where the crime and so on just got out of hand, and they couldn't get against it, so people had to protect themselves. But this
That's
time,
true. They weren't being protected by the police.
yeah, but this time the police or the state itself is the enemy. We have kind of similar situation, but where people should arm themselves and protect themselves, but for different reasons. It's just, but it's with a similar outcome, like in Death Wish.
Did I could have picked another movie as Zeitgeist that a lot of people haven't seen. Did you ever see Serpico?
Yes, of course. Of course. I know all the old classics.
Well, Serpico is based on a New York City police officer who turns in his other officers for crimes and corruption, and he ends up getting set up by the other cops and shot. Not by a cop, supposedly, but by a suspect. But they could have kept it from happening, and they didn't back him up, and he almost died. But it showed you that the cops weren't just not guarding you, they were actively criminal in New York City in that time. Not only were they not guarding you, not only were there heroin addicts everywhere, but the cops were just as likely to beat you up and take your money, seemingly, as the criminals were. So you really did need, they certainly weren't going to protect you. And you had to defend yourself. And some people feel like that now. In Texas, we recently passed an amendment to our gun carry law that allows people to carry their guns without having spent thousands of dollars on special training and other stuff. They had put a fingerprinting and DNA and all these other things. They basically made it where only the very rich and people who could pass all their hoops could carry a gun, so that the robbers knew that, well, as long as you didn't hit somebody super rich, the poor people couldn't afford to do all that to have a concealed carry, and so that's who they were targeting. And right after they passed that law, they had incident after incident where these poor people were defending themselves and shooting down these people who would normally gun them down. And then it caused a spike in murders to drop. So it actually saved lives, and you could see it. You can see it in the statistics. You can see it in the videos. The right to carry shouldn't be only for the very rich.
Yes, I agree on that 100%. And we would have a very very different discussion about this a few years ago, where I was one of these people who said, "Oh no, guns are bad," and things like that. Stupid things like that, but it really,
that's true. When I first met you, that's how you felt.
Yeah, and really, especially the last 2 years, I completely 180 changed my mind, even on movies like Bowling for Columbine and people like Michael Moore and so on, where I really now see that they are kind of hacks because they are following an agenda and really support enslavement of people with their agendas without even with good intent. I think even they think they are doing something good, but we say here the road to hell is made is made out.
Paved with good intention.
Yeah, with good intention. Yes, and I think it's kind of this case with these people. Don't think they are generally bad people. I just think they have just a bad judgment, and
well, in America, you have hundreds of millions of handguns already out there. You're not going to be able to confiscate them. You're not going to be able to find them. And you probably got 100 million illegal ones. If you ban everybody from having them, the only people who are going to have them are the bad guys, and they're going to know we don't have them. Right now, if you're in Houston and you try to kick somebody's door down, most of the time they're going to shoot you, and the burglars know that, so they don't go kicking down the doors. The cops aren't going to show up. They're not going to show up for 30 minutes or an hour. It's different here. And by the time they do, you're already dead, and they just, cart your body away and they investigate. That's not good enough. You've got to be able to defend yourself. Maybe if there were no guns out there for the bad guys, we could afford to have those kind of laws. But we've got to be able to defend ourselves both personally and from the government. The purpose of the Second Amendment is against the government. We're supposed to be armed so that an armed citizenry is not somebody you can round up and put into a concentration camp.
Yes, that's right. Here in Germany, people have to go with many crap because of our gun laws, and because here not many people have guns and can't protect themselves. So the police and the force and the government does what it wants.
They can do whatever they want.
Yes, for example,
which they've done to y'all people before. It's very scary.
Yeah, for example, you use your right to demonstrate on the street in peace, and the police comes just in and randomly arrests the people, harasses the people, and things like that. Even on my first demonstration in Berlin, they killed somebody. They killed him.
See, it's less likely that they're going to do that if people are allowed to carry guns. They just they don't want to mess with you.
Yes, if they would be afraid that somebody could have a gun or something like that, and kind of everybody
and yet,
could.
You never ever hear of protesters shooting police or shooting each other. It doesn't happen. So if it's such a terrible thing, we can't have it. Well, why isn't, you got individual incidents because there's crazy people everywhere. But as a general rule, 99.9% of the time, you have peaceful protests. And I can never once remember in my whole life during a protest of there being any kind of gunplay. It just it doesn't happen. And the police know not to mess with people.
Yes,
that's just how it is. That's why the founding fathers specifically put in their writings about the Constitution that these guns, yes, they're for hunting and they're for defending yourself, but primarily they're there to restrict the government.
Yes, and your governor, by the way, he is going against the government. Here Biden and so on, and the stupid laws of the government, he says no, and he's able to do that because the whole population of Texas stands behind him, armed and ready. So he can say no, and he doesn't have to fear that then U.S. Army just would come in and take Texas, because they wouldn't try. I'm pretty sure.
And also remember, the people who make up the U.S. Army they were from the citizens who believe in these gun rights. They're not going to obey an illegal order to go seize guns. Yeah. It would be against everything they believe. And they also know what would happen. And we have a special rule, posse comitatus, that does not allow the Army to intervene in civil activities. They cannot come in and act as a sheriff or whatever.
Yeah,
it's illegal.
Greg, I can tell you something. Here in Germany, something crazy is happening right now. They want to make a rule. Do you know what these 3G rules mean?
The what?
3G. Here, the letter G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, like Greg. We have
right
here in Germany. It is the first letter of when you get tested. It's called getestet, or when you get vaccinated, geimpft. Yeah, it's the first letter.
It has to do with the vaccination.
Yeah, it has to do with the vaccination. It just says.
I haven't heard anything about that.
These rules, they are now established in some stores, and a 3G rule means you just get in when you you got the illness, you got corona, and you first tested negative, positive that you got it, and then you have to be tested negative that you got rid of it and you have antibodies or something like that. That means the first G. And the second G means that you have got vaccinated. And the third G, that you got a negative test. So with one of these Gs, you can enter. And they say,
enter where? Like shopping and stuff?
Yeah, and they said the government made something really sneaky. They said to the shops, you can choose if you use 3G or 2G. 2G means you have to be vaccinated. It's the only way to get in. The test doesn't count anymore. That means even if you are ill, but you are at least vaccinated, you can enter. But if you have a negative test, you can't, which makes no sense. So if you're healthy, you can't enter, but if you are vaccinated and probably ill because of the vaccination, you don't have to. You don't have to be tested. You just can enter. So they want to do this with normal, regular shops where you get your food, with supermarkets. They talk about to do that in supermarkets maybe next month, and which would mean that people who are healthy are not able anymore and not vaccinated can't buy food anymore.
Oh, wow.
This is really, really serious. And I'm just waiting that this happens, because I think that is the time where people go on the streets and where they have to bring the military in.
Wow.
For yes, I don't see.
You think the German military would act against the people?
I'm not sure. I have no clue.
That's what brought down the Soviet Union. Is the Soviet military refused to act against the people. Remember that?
Yeah, because I can tell you, we are not going to get vaccinated. This less 10% or whatever who isn't vaccinated till now, because we have here from the media that say we have they are 85% vaccinated or something like that. So, but this less people that still aren't, they are not going to. And even the vaccinated people can't enter the shop if they don't have the booster shot, if the vaccination is older than 6 months. So, yes.
So you think they're going to keep that booster shot thing up forever, huh?
Yeah, of course. That's what it is for. Because after 6 months, you are automatically not vaccinated anymore, officially. It's an official thing. It's not made up from me or something like that. They don't make a secret out of that. You have to get vaccinated every 6 months. They call it booster. But it's a third vaccination, just like the other two. So, yeah, this is, as I said, this is a really interesting time. And I'm not afraid that I starve or something like that. It doesn't affect me at all. But it will affect many other people. I can tell you. And I'm going to on the street demonstrating because of that. You know that. It's really not for me. It's really for the people who are counting on that, who have to go shopping to eat or something like that.
Right.
I
understand.
I have prepared myself. You know that. I could stay here for a year without any problems, without even leaving the house if I have to. No problem for me. But for many other people, it's a problem. Yeah, but as you said, if the people would have guns and could defend themselves, of course, the government wouldn't dare to do that.
I guess back to our movies. Unless you had something more to say.
No. This I can't say more because this is actually the status that is now happening. It is going to happen in the next 2 weeks or something like that. So,
oh wow.
So I can't tell you more because I don't know more.
Well, stay tuned. And we'll give you updates as we do stream.
Yeah, of course.
So the taking of Pelham 123 had Robert Shaw and I believe Walter Matthau.
Yes, Walter Matthau. He's a police
he
officer.
Was the director of the subways, I think.
Yes, I think he was the director, but he wasn't he also kind of police? Or was he just the director?
I think he was. I think he was some kind of police because he at least. I remember at the end of the movie, they were interviewing different people. He certainly showed up with the other police. So I think he directed it, and he had some sort of police function too.
Yeah, I think he was head of security or something like that. And yeah, it's
it had a good feel for the time. That's what I'm saying by zeitgeist. You kind of the police cars, the direction of the movie, the interaction between the people. I thought it was well acted. I would recommend Death Wish and Taking of Pelham 123, and I'd also recommend Serpico.
Yes, and I think we both don't recommend any of the remakes, especially not the Death Wish one.
You know, I'd have to say I kind of liked the gun store girl in the remake of Death Wish, where she sells him that coffee table with the shotgun that pops out from below it. I thought she was fun. She's in a very small part of the movie, but that was a funny little scene.
Yeah, I really couldn't stand the remake. I thought the remake of Pelham was really weak.
Yeah, it was. It was more of a John Travolta vehicle.
Yeah, it was completely miscast. Also, John Travolta, he
was miscast, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was completely miscast. He didn't have to be in the movie. The story, it's very intelligent story, and you can update it. It's no problem. I'm pretty sure you could have updated it, but I think there was just not enough action for them in the story, and they just had to make it ridiculous that it doesn't make any sense anymore. So
and they had to make the Walter Matthau character a criminal in the sequel, so that he couldn't just be a good guy doing his job and a little overwhelmed. He had to have a secret in his past where he had committed a felony, and it didn't work. The way they updated it was as Cubs as weak. But the
Yes.
originals are well done.
Yes, the original. Here, this Pelham movie. It's a so clever movie. It's one of these rare diamonds where we really it is so entertaining. Because if you haven't seen the movie, see it for the first time. We're not going to spoil anything from it. You have no clue what is going on. But I don't mean it in a bad sense. I mean, it is really an interesting story. You want to know how the hell are they going to solve the situation?
Yeah, it doesn't. It's hard to see how they're going to get out of it, isn't it?
Yeah, they have so clever ways.
Because they commit this crime down in the subways, and all the entrances and exits are blocked, and they know where they are. How in the world are they going to escape?
Yeah. It's a clever twist. Like
you gotta cover for me for a minute. I gotta get a drink.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. It's like in Die Hard, where when you watch the first Die Hard and you have never seen it and you don't know what is going on, and you also think, okay, these terrorists, they or whatever, they are now trapped in this building. How the hell are they going to escape? What's their plan? And then they release the plan and so on, and then you think, yeah, okay, that makes sense, and it's kind of clever also. And with Pelham, it's even better. In Pelham, it really makes sense. The scenes and they really thought out the story, and this is a rare thing. When nowadays you don't get that anymore. The movies nowadays, they're just stupid. They don't give a fuck on the story. They just make it up like they go along, like with this werewolf movie. You see clearly a werewolf attacking the women, but at the end they just say, no, it was just a guy in a costume, even if you saw with your own eyes that it wasn't. But this is best you get nowadays when it comes to storytelling. Or with Halloween, this remake. Yeah, he is not connected to Laurie Strode, so we just put in a driver that drives him to the crime scenes. Great. This is so lazy writing. That's the reason why I don't like new movies anymore. But then you get something like Pelham 1, 2, 3, with a really clever, thought out story and how they pull it off, and you constantly sit on the edge of your seat because it's really. I saw the movie back then as a small child on TV. One of the first movies I've seen, and I was so impressed. But I rewatched it, and it still holds up. It holds up so well. You can still watch it also today, kind of 50 years later, and it is still a great movie. I highly recommend for anybody who hasn't seen it. Should quickly catch up. So. So what's our next subject matter? I think next thing we wanted to talk about is Hanzo the Razor, Part 2, and also, it's a Japanese series. It's not a TV series. It's a movie series, which reminds you a little bit of Lone Wolf and Cub. It's from the same time period, but there are also more similarities. It's not just from the same time period. This is a movie from 1973. It is also from the same director who directed many of the Lone Wolf and Cub movies, and it's the same actor even. so, and
I'm
it's
back.
yes, and I told the people that we are the next subject is probably Hanzo the Razor, or not, or what do you
That's
think?
true. The second movie, we went over Hanzo's Sword of Justice, and the next movie,
yes, the next movie is The Snare.
The Snare. Yes.
Snare. What's a snare?
The snare is like what you catch a rabbit with. If you're a hunter and you set a snare in the woods, I don't know if you know that word.
It's a kind of a trap?
It's a trap. Exactly. As Akbar would say, it's a trap.
It's a trap. Okay. And yes.
So it makes more sense. The title makes more sense to you now, doesn't it?
Yeah, and I told the people, the audience, that Hanzo the Razor is not only from the same guy from the same director who made most of the Lone Wolf and Cub movies. It's also with the same actor.
And guess what? It's also the same writer.
Oh my God!
The same writer who wrote Lone Wolf and Cub wrote the Hanzo.
Yeah, but Hanzo is
of course, the actor is not the exact same actor from Lone Wolf and Cub.
It is the main actor, same main actor. At least when I looked it up, I was surprised.
Is it the same actor?
Yeah, it is. It's the same.
He looks totally different.
No,
I would have to look that up.
His face doesn't. The only difference is in Lone Wolf and Cub, he doesn't run around with a big diaper like in Hanzo the most of the time.
Well, he plays a totally different character.
Yes, he plays a totally different character.
I guess his acting ability sells that he's a different person.
Yeah,
that's well done.
And you have a very strange scene in Lone Wolf in the second movie in the Snare.
The Snare.
Because at the end, when they have the last fight, he fights against a character he himself calls Lone Wolf.
Oh, really?
And beats him. Yes, because this good fighter, which he comes across during the second movie, turns out that he's kind of also a very good fighter like Hanzo himself, but he's on the wrong side. He's working for the bad guys.
I remember that. I did not remember him being Lone Wolf.
He calls him at the end, "You are a lone wolf, just like me." Which is kind of interesting when you know that the same actor and the same director in the same year also made Lone Wolf and Cub movie, where he plays Lone Wolf. And so he kills Lone Wolf, or another Lone Wolf, in his other series, which I just thought was just an interesting fact. I don't know if it means something. It just stuck in my head when I saw it.
Well, one of the things that impressed me is the background characters, the trouble they went to when you have just people crossing the bridge, and the slight interactions they have with the lesser characters. They seem to put a lot of effort into the costuming, and they usually don't have too many lines, but I usually like to watch what's going on around the main characters on movies like this, and it's well done, both in Lone Wolf and Cub and in the Hanzo movies.
Yes, it is very well done, but I really have to say I'm really more a fan of the Lone Wolf and Cub series, because the Hanzo series, there is just these, we have to just straight out say it, that people know what we mean. there are rape scenes in there, which are they try to kind of justify them,
but they're
for
uncomfortable,
the
and it's
great,
really
yeah, for the
this
greater
is
good.
supposed to be a good guy, and when you see those scenes, it shows up that he's a hypocrite.
Yes, and that is just something that doesn't go good together for me. It's because he kind of same acts the same like the vigilantes, or like the not the vigilantes, like the people he's after. Uh, he he doesn't treat women better than they do, not really, and so I you are a little bit confused when you see that. But besides that, yeah, it's very well
He
made.
considers it interrogation.
Yeah, it's
I
really,
know it's not. I know what it is. It's a form of torture, but
you know,
he justifies it. But he's a very self-righteous person who could easily just chop your head off for almost nothing if in his moral opinion you were in the wrong. So
yeah, and also we have this time we have a right out scene where an innocent woman gets raped, which he wants to protect, by the way.
that's
So it's really
you also have the subplot of abortion, and which was a hot button issue around the world in the early 70s. And you just had the Roe versus Wade thing going on here, and kind of like a devil cult, would you say, with those masks and stuff,
yes,
which kind of ties into my Halloween story, ironically.
yeah. There were kind of devil worshippers or something like that. It was kind of strange that this sect cult and it's really hard
It's hard to
judge
explain.
it, to also to judge it, because we're
It
talking
is,
about
and
a
I think this
completely
is from
different.
another culture, and
It's not just from another culture. It's also from another time period of this other culture.
yeah.
So because it doesn't play out in the 70s, it plays out in the 1400s or 1500s, something like that.
But it also reflects the changing culture of Japan post World War II. You had the last of that generation, and if you remember when the Americans came in, they gave women the right to vote. They elevated them way above where your traditionalist, would you say, Japanese thought women should be. And I think part of this may have been like a backlash against the Japanese women getting all this power.
Maybe I would say yes. That makes sense for me. But as I said,
they used the 1400 storyline because they couldn't set that in 1970s Japan and have that be happening without it being very clear that that's rape and that's this and that. But if they put it back there, I guess they can justify it in their minds, because this there wasn't a great outcry against this that I know of. Of course, nowadays you can't watch these movies in Germany, from what Cub says.
yeah,
And I was surprised. I saw it on HBO.
yeah,
So
it's not just we can't watch it here. It doesn't exist. There's not even a Wikipedia page for it.
You can't even discuss it, probably.
Yeah, it's.
I mean, we are, but it's not approved of. I'm sure, most of the channels wouldn't touch this.
Yeah, this movie kind of doesn't exist for Germans. Germans, they don't have any. They just stumble over it.
They would be shocked.
Would go on the English wiki page of the director or something like that, and then that's the only way, at least, to get aware that this property exists even. So and not many do that, I can tell you. I didn't do that, and I made a review on the Lone Wolf and Cub series, and I didn't stumble across these movies from the same director, the same actor, everything, the same time, even the same year. It is even the
same. When did you notice them? When I mentioned them to you?
Yeah, first time ever. I thought, what's that? Out of nowhere. This exists.
And it's even as worldly as we are, it is shocking watching these movies.
Yes, and as we said, this is part 2, and next time we're going to discuss part 3. I haven't watched it till now. These are really.
Oh, you haven't seen part 3 yet? I think it's called "Who's Got the Gold."
Yeah, but I have organized it. It's ready to go for me to watch it, and it's just when I saw the first one, I thought, oh, this is just too good of a movie just to fast go through it, and really. You should really take your time, watch it closely.
I agree. I always rewatch them right before we have our streams too.
Yeah, and
so that it's kind of fresh in my mind, and they're good enough movies that they're up there with Lone Wolf and Cub. Yeah. If you can divorce yourself from our modern sensibility, then it's hard to say that a 50-year-old movie is going to shock you, but in some ways it is.
Yeah, and I can't say they are up there with Lone Wolf and Cub. I would say they are the dirty brother or dirty or what do you call it? The
Alabama cousin.
Yeah, Alabama cousin would say something like that, because Lone Wolf and Cub is really kind of perfect and not perfect. I mean, not perfect in this sense of Kubrick perfect. I mean, the character is really clean. His morals are high above good and evil. He does always the right thing, and things like that.
That's true, and it's ironic that this guy, the character in Hanzo, he considers himself the morally upright person there is. He looks down on all his other police officers because they're not of his high moral standard, and yet look at what he's doing.
Maybe it's a satire on Lone Wolf and Cub.
It could be,
kind of, because really, it's really. I thought about some comparisons, and the best thing I could come up with was it's kind of the trauma version, like with Atomic Hero. It's called here in Germany Atomic Hero. In the original, it's called Toxic Avenger.
Right? Yeah, it could be.
Yeah, because Toxic Avenger, the first one at least, he was kind of this anti-hero he was together with he was kind of a monster who was together with this blind woman because of that, because she could see how he looks like, and which was and he did the right thing, but had really questionable methods to do that when he did his revenge spree and things like that. So, and also when he killed the Burgermeister and so on, and so it reminded me a little bit of that.
That's a good point. That might actually be what they were going for. I bet if we could talk to actually Japanese people from that time, they could probably explain it a little better to us. We're looking at it through a dark lens 50 years later.
Yeah. It's really
it's a culture that we can only barely understand, and it they were closed off forever. I don't know. I find them to be a very interesting people, and they've certainly cinematically they put a real stamp on the movie.
Yeah, still, of course, compared to everything nowadays, it's high art and Citizen Kane, no question about that.
Yeah, it's
And
true.
at least it's entertaining. This is a thing. Movies nowadays just aren't anymore. They aren't entertaining anymore. They seem constantly to forget that this is the most important part. That you don't watch a movie to get lectured or something like that. You watch a movie to be entertained in a and there has to be something at least there, and this is really a thing. Movies there have something. You may like it or you may hate it, but at least there is something there. It's you will it will stay in your mind. That's for sure.
That's
You watch
true.
it. So yeah, what do you think? What's next on the list?
Well, the last thing we had was to discuss the remake of Babylon 5.
Which they plan, or it is already greenlit?
Yes, it's already greenlit, and the only thing that worries me is they're going to be doing it on the WB, I think, which Batwoman and all these things. But there's some positives and negatives of that. I think I'm pretty positive in general because J. Michael Straczynski is helming this thing, and he did a great job last time, and now he would be given. When you talk to people, usually the one thing they complain about is, oh, the visuals aren't good enough. It's too dated. They love the story, they love the acting, but they go on and on about that. Well, he will be able to have great visuals even at a pretty low budget, I would hope. And I think he's going to have high standards. I think he'll be able to get around a lot of the politics because it's set in deep space, and I just feel really good about the remake. I think one thing is it's so hard to cancel shows on WB, even when they have super low rating. So I think this is going to bring in an automatic audience. We'll probably see some of the old characters returning, and maybe in different roles. But I feel really good about it. What do you think about it, Cub?
First off, I'm a huge Babylon 5 fan. I like the original series. It was great. I thought it was really great. All 5 seasons, they were really great. This follow-up series, I didn't like so much. Crusade, I think was the name or something
Yeah,
like
it
that.
was weak.
Yeah, it was really not interesting at all. I thought it was waste of time and characters. And it went nowhere. It was just 1 season, and then it got cancelled anyway. And but I liked here the movies they made afterwards to end some storylines. I thought they were okay. I think there were 2 of them, or were there more?
I'm not sure.
Uh,
What did you think the best characters on the original Babylon 5? I think Jakar and Lando. It was almost about them.
yes, the most interesting character was, I think, Lando. Because he made the most interesting arc, at least from
He
my
had a
point.
real journey.
He had a real journey because he kind of started out as a good guy and ended, and in the end he was a bad guy.
But he wasn't a bad guy. He was a guy trapped into being worse and worse. And he did it, like you said earlier, the road to hell is paved with good intentions. everywhere along the line, he seemed to have good intentions, and everywhere along the line, he was forced into a worse and worse position, and he ended up causing such death and destruction, and destroying the very things that he loved.
Yes, as I said, and of course, Chikar, he was also great. His arc, seeing it little bit reminded me on the Cardassians, their arc in DS9.
Yeah, the Cardassians.
Yeah, the Cardassians, because there was also a point in DS9 where the Cardassians had to even join forces with the Bajorians against the bigger threat.
And especially, who was the Cardassian Taylor on DS9? I forget his name, but he was like a former spy or whatever.
Yes.
He had one of the best story arcs, I think, on the DS9 series.
He had a very interesting story arc, and also the other Cardassian here, the leader.
And like you say, he had to work with the people he considered enemies, and he ended up seeing his people destroyed and his planet wiped out.
Yeah,
because of some of the decisions he made, stuff he put in motion, just like Londo. And just like Jakar. Jakar watched his planet destroyed. Remember how warlike he was at the very beginning?
Yeah,
blew up in his face.
Yes, it as I said,
it would be very interesting to see what story J. Michael Straczynski comes up with again. I think people were all down on it, and rah. Come on, give it a chance. This guy turned out one of the great masterpieces of science fiction television, and he's got a chance to do it again. Yeah, maybe it'll suck, but I don't think so. I think this guy's going to turn out something really good. I'm positive. I really feel good about it. When I read up on it, I listened to what he said, and what he said won me over.
I can tell you, it's maybe the only show I'm looking forward to. Because normally I would say, again, a reboot.
Well, we like Resident Alien, right?
Yes, Resident Evil was.
So we got season 2 of Resident Alien. I don't know when that comes out. I'm looking forward to that, and I'm looking forward to this.
Yeah, but,
and who knows? Maybe you're gonna love. I still know what you did, or I know what you did last summer. Maybe you're gonna love that.
Sure.
Maybe you're gonna put it with Fantasy Island.
Yeah, Fantasy Island. Oh my God, did we talk about this crap? Yeah, thanks God, we already.
I hadn't watched any of those yet. We'll watch some and try and get to that next time.
Really? Do we have to?
We don't have to. No.
Please, it's such a waste of time.
It is, but if we feel like it, we'll see if we can watch another one. Maybe we can find one episode that's worth watching.
Yeah, good luck with that.
Right.
Hey, no, Greg, is this maybe your fantasy when you are on this island, and then your fantasy is to find a watchable fantasy island?
The original Fantasy Island with Ricardo Montalban. Maybe it was because of him and Tattoo. I thought they made a good team. They had a few good episodes here and there. It was set in a time when there wasn't a lot of quality television, so that probably makes me see it with rose-colored glasses. But I kind of like the original series in its day. It's not really good to rewatch nowadays. But I was hopeful that, they would come out with something halfway decent. And, oh, my God, we watched a couple episodes. They were bad, very bad.
Yeah, it was so bad. Really.
We were trying. We're out there watching for y'all guys. We're trying to find good stuff for you. And we can recommend the Hanzo series if you can kind of, get past his sexual escapade.
Yes. You really have to.
It's a warning. Warning.
Yeah, so we can definitely recommend Lone Wolf and Cub.
Oh yeah,
but
that's a great series.
It's from the same director.
And then we have its crazy Alabama cousin, that you can also watch if you want.
Yeah, I would really say watch the Lone Wolf and Cub series, and after that, you can watch the Hanzo series.
It is interesting. It's compared to what they put out nowadays, it's totally opposite of anything you're ever going to see. They're never going to make any movies like these again. I don't
Yeah,
think they will,
yeah,
because of
that's
the subject matter, because of and you get to see it with these same writers and directors and actors from Lone Wolf and Cub. Which if you watch Lone Wolf and Cub and you're like, man, I wish they made some more. Well, you got some of these similar movies that
yes,
uh,
that are just. It's hard to describe. Really, you
it's
have to
hard to describe.
see
Cub
it.
Cub will
Uh,
be able to describe
uh,
it after he watches this last one, and at least you've got one more of these things to go. So
yeah,
that's
yeah.
something to look forward to.
Yes, and I'm definitely I am planning for the future to make to remake my Lone Wolf and Cub video,
Oh, and
and
adding this to it, Hanzo.
and I'm definitely going to mention it and adding it to the review because as we already said, these are the same people at the same time. It is not after Lone Wolf and Cup or something like that. It is at exactly the same time period made because Lone Wolf and Cup goes from 1972 to 1974.
Yes, and
And
this is set in like what 72, 73.
this is 73.
Yeah.
So they made them back to back at the same time. I think maybe even in the same with here with the same props or whatever. Because they are the same people.
Oh, I'm sure it had a lot of the same extras.
Yeah, yeah, I'm pretty sure. If you watch them closely, you see the same people. Even I think even this last fight he made with this lone wolf, I think I saw him even in the series, in the TV series Lone Wolf and Cub. He he the same actor, but I'm not 100% sure. But it wouldn't surprise me. It would make sense. So yeah, Babylon 5. Yeah, do you know when they are going to start or finish that we see the first episode or something like that?
I don't know. I think it said 2023.
Oh, so the same time with Dune 2.
Well, that makes sense. Maybe they'll get it out a little sooner.
Yeah, so so we would say our next stream is 2023. Then we can talk about Dune 2 and
No, our next
Babylon
stream
5.
is on December 26th. It's our Christmas stream. I'm sure all of our friends will show up like they do.
Huh? 26? I thought 25.
I think the Sunday is the 26th. And we normally do it on Sunday.
Yes.
And that's Boxing Day in Britain. So all your friends will be off.
What is
and
Boxing? What is Boxing Day?
I don't know. It's a day when they remember the British were mostly servants or something, and they didn't have Christmas Day off because they had to serve the upper classes. So the poor people would get the day after Christmas off, and they, for some weird reason, called it Boxing Day. I think because they got to take home a bunch of boxes or something.
Yeah, and here in Germany, it's a
Do y'all have Boxing Day?
It's a crazy date because in some of the counties here, and in the county where not even in the whole county, in some regions in Germany, it is the heaviest drinking day. It's called Stephanus, at least here in the region where I come from, where I live, because 100.
Is that the day after Christmas?
No, not the day after Christmas the second day after Christmas, because the day after Christmas is the 25th. Because Christmas is 24 or not?
No, Christmas 25th. And then Boxing Day is the 26th.
Really? You say to 25th Christmas? We say to it, it's the first Christmas. Yeah.
Christmas Eve
sense.
is the 24th.
Yeah, Christmas Eve.
So a lot of people celebrate Christmas on Christmas Eve, because Santa Claus comes, that night, and
Christmas
you are right. morning.
Yeah,
but that's when the Christmas parties usually are, is on Christmas Eve, the 24th.
Yeah, 25th is called First Christmas Day here in Germany, and
then 26th is Boxing Day. That's
it's
when
the second
the English
Christmas Day.
Celebrate, and the Canadians. And I guess the 26th is when y'all all drink.
Not just in this region where I come from. It's just because I was 80 kilometers in another town, living one time, Dortmund it's called, and I thought when the 26th came up, I thought, the heaviest drinking day, and went out in the city, and everything was. There was nobody there. I was the only one.
Oh man!
It was like quite earth. And I told the people, I went to a bar, whatever, and asked, what's up with the people? It's this and this day. And they looked at me and said, what? Never heard of that. So the whole time, I was thinking this is something what happens in the whole Germany,
or maybe the whole world.
No, at least in Germany, and when this was the first time that I recognized this is a tradition, just in the small area where I come from, and really that was really kind of crazy to find that out, and. Yeah, but as I said, it's this day. But I'm not affected anyway, because I don't go out anymore, and also we have now this stupid pandemic whatsoever times, and I told you about this 3G and 2G thing and so on.
Yeah, that's wild.
Yeah, which prevents people anyway to do anything in this direction.
So they're not even going to be able to do their drinking day?
Not everybody. Not just the people who are 3G or 2G, who are freshly vaccinated or something like that.
Well, maybe they can at least go out and get liquor and bring it back to the other people.
Yeah, something like that. I don't know.
I don't know either.
It's just complicated without any reason. And stupid, and really, we don't have to waste our time.
Sometime right around Christmas, we'll do our Christmas stream.
Yeah. As we said, it's 26.
And then the stream after that, we'll cover. I Know What You Did Last Summer and the other stuff.
Yes, and the other uninteresting stuff. Yeah. I guess.
Well, we were going to limit the stream to 2 hours, and we went 3 hours, but it took 3 hours to cover everything.
Yeah, and don't forget, our Ministry of Time gave us 1 hour extra today.
Oh, y'all got it, but I'm about to have trick-or-treaters coming by and stuff. Do y'all have the German kids go out and trick-or-treat and get candy and stuff?
No. They stopped doing that since we have this stupid pandemic.
Oh man, they canceled Halloween.
Before the pandemic, they tried to establish that here in Germany, and there were Halloween parties and things like that, and really
so
children
it was just taking root, huh?
Yeah, it was just starting to get a thing, to become a thing, but now. Of course, everything is
the only way you can have a party is to go out in the wet woods.
Yeah, it's back to zero.
So no,
nobody tried here to get sweets or something like that. normally, as I said, before the pandemic, there were sometimes children doing that, but this all stopped here. At least in this town where I'm living, I have no clue what's going on in other towns. But
so you know the sing-songy thing the kids would say, trick or treat, give us something good to eat, and remember, it's trick or treat. If you didn't give them a treat, they could play a trick on you. They might egg your house. They could throw toilet paper around. That didn't normally happen.
Yes, but it doesn't. You see, when toilet paper becomes the highest, such high value,
the currency of the land, right?
Yeah, the currency of the land. Nobody's going to throw it at you. I can tell you. So maybe they just can't afford to trick anymore.
Maybe they can't.
Yeah,
it'd be cheaper just to buy the candy themselves, huh?
Yes, and so
or trade their toilet paper for candy.
Yes. Yeah, maybe now you can give them toilet paper, and they would say,
hey,
"Oh
that's
yeah,
true.
That'll
definitely get you on the bad list with the kids." They come back and let the air out of your tires or something if you do that.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, so I would say we can close that or not.
Yeah, I think it's time to close the show. Happy Halloween to Germany and Texas and the rest of the world.
Yeah, Greg, and thanks a lot. We started out with 2,000, over 2,000 viewers.
Wow.
And I have no clue. What did you say or do? Because they're all gone. Just 13 are left. Greg, did you say anything stupid when I went to the bathroom or something like that?
I must have. Let's see what it says. It says 84 on mine. I think we still have 84 people.
It's very mysterious. they all disappeared for some
still
reason.
Get credit.
Yeah. So as we said, goodbye, and see you next time on Christmas, second Christmas day.
Yeah, we'll see you at Christmas.